we want to thank you guys for participating. And basically, this is our second time doing it, but it's actually going to be the largest one that we're doing. And the type of coach we have here is to make it that much greater. You know, and our end game to this is just to bring the community together by having youth coaches and parents and high school coaches and college coaches all come together, you know, to build a nice foundation for our youth kids. And that's what it's all about. How we bring the community together, bring the kids together, and work together as a whole. There's a lot of questions out there about football when it comes to safety, or when it comes to, you know, playing, or when it comes to just working together, or just becoming greater young men. So we want to make sure that you're getting all the knowledge. And the one thing that we found out too, that a lot of parents don't understand what goes on that football field, what goes on in the classroom, or who is this coach going to be coaching my kids, or how can we bring them together? And this is it right here. So that's the one that we brought to you guys today. And whether it's football or not, it's bigger than that. It's all about how your kid react to coaches, period, you know, and what their philosophy. So right now, I have one of my board members, a Center for the All-Star, there's Chip Humble right there. He's the one that's been with the Center for the All-Star football game. This will be our 20th year anniversary doing that game. So a lot of you kids, young kids, will have an opportunity to play in that game. Last year we have over 30 to 50 college scouts that came through there. A lot of kids got college scholarships. So, you know, because they had the opportunity to play in that game, so we kept it going. So we want to kind of keep the name going, keep the brand going before we get to that game. And just another thing, just give you a little rundown of what can happen today. After Coach Mogridge, you know, we also have Rick Darlington from Apopka High School, you know, state champion coach, going to be speaking, talking about building men. We also got Coach Rottenwell, which is an honor to have him, the Class 8A state champion football team in 2017. 17. Let's give Rotten around applause for that guy. We get a great guys like that out here. Oh man, it's an honor. It's a pleasure to have guys like that in here to speak to you as parents and our youth. And I mean, it's just amazing for us to meet and build that relationship with guys like that too. And then right at 11 o'clock for the ones, we're going to be over in the next building. We're going to have classrooms. We're going to have the state champion coach of 2015, Matt Hendry, speaking about offense. You know what I'm saying? Give you coaches another perspective of the game. Cam Duke's going to be there speaking for Edgewater district champs. And also, of course, again, Rottenwell. So you'll be in the classrooms, sitting down on the board, learn to know, get some knowledge, been a student to the game. Then everybody will have lunch. We'll have lunch at 12 o'clock. And then at lunchtime, you know, we're going to have another special guest speaker, going to be Darryl Perkins. He's the defensive coordinator at University of Fordham, one of the most top athletic schools, academic schools around. So he's going to be speaking to you guys at lunchtime. And the kids come in, we'll have lunch for them and all that. I'm also going to talk about recruiting seminar. And for the ones that have questions about that, even at a young age, they try to offer people at 7th, 8th grade, all kinds of things going on. You need to know the process, so Coach Brad Love, when we're talking about recruiting seminar, we'll have that going in room 107. Then we'll go to the field again at 12:30, and we'll bring in Bob Head from West Orange High School. We'll bring in Don Starks from Seminole High School. So we're going to have Ben Bullock going to be here. So we're going to have them guys there also teaching your kid and teaching you as a youth coach and the parents to see what's going on today. So thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it. And I'm going to turn over to the host, Mr. Jeremy Cameron, the head coach of Central Florida Christian Academy.
How we doing? Good. A little basic shoulder than I was going to say to you guys. So I'm just excited for you guys to be here. Excited to partner with Low and Excel Speed and the Central Florida All-Star Chip to bring such an event to our campus. I want you guys to sit back, relax, and enjoy it because there's going to be a lot of knowledge shared today. You know, a lot of knowledge is going to be shared with you guys today. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's one of the biggest misconceptions is people are afraid to ask questions. They don't want to be embarrassed or whatnot. Right? No question is a stupid question as long as you ask the question. All right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to bring Coach Allen up from the University of Florida FIU. So he's going to come up and speak to you guys a little bit. Have a quick little video montage, and then he'll come on up.
Here we go. Hey. You got the numbers there. Coach Mo. Everybody calls me Mo. Most everybody. Yeah, a lot of people that deserve that. Look, I'm humbled and honored to be here in front of you, okay? Because you're the future of what we do. Without the game of football, I could not stand here in front of you people today. I couldn't without the game of football. I was the kid from the trailer park that grew up with his mama because his daddy left. That was me. Oh, he gonna screw it up. He gonna make it out. You know what? Here I stand. Because I had some dudes that grabbed me. You know, sometimes when your kids are playing in the playground and they're doing whatever they're doing, and all of a sudden some dude comes up to them and goes, hey man, why don't you come meet me in the weight room? Changed my life. Changed my life. I didn't play an organized sport till the 7th grade, okay? The influence and the power that a coach has, right? The influence and the power that a coach has. So I'm humbled, I'm honored, I'm grateful. Thank you for a clap. I appreciate it. But what I want to talk to you about, Lo gave me some points, okay, because I thought I was going to be talking with high school coaches, right, or with youth league coaches, okay, and some of those things. So the biggest thing I'm going to start with, I've got bullet points that I'll go through, but team building, okay, so we talk about team building, okay, and team building is on a lot of levels. When I look at team building, there's an individual level to it, there's positional at our level and at your level, then there's a unit level to it, and then it goes to team. So when you talk about team building, you got to do things together. There's no team that can function if you don't do things together. You know what? Do things that don't got anything to do with ball. I coach college football. Do you know what an icy pop will do for a room of offensive linemen?
I know.
Do you know what an icy pop will do? Do you know what an icy pop will do for an entire room of offensive players? When a wide receiver stalks a safety and throws him on the ground in practice, if you run an icy pop down the hall and some fat guy walks in, it's like, hey, where's 19? 19, great block. He throws him an icy pop. It's an icy pop. I don't know what they cost. They cost nothing. Like, I look at Coach every day at the beginning, okay, I need some icy pops. Like, what? Yeah, Coach, I'll explain it later. But what I'm saying is that you got to do things together. You got to talk. You got to communicate. That's how you start this bond, right? That's how you start this bond, okay? On an individual level, it's all relationship. You got to love each other. We get to FIU, that, you know, it is what it is, but we had to help them understand, love each other. When you love each other, good things are going to happen, right? So how do you get to love each other? Guys, it can't just be when we walk in these doors. It can't. It can't. Like, you got to go eat dinner together. You got to go spend some time together. You got to go over to somebody's house. You got to do those things. You got to play horse. You got to play around. And I know I'm talking about little kids. Little kids. But it even goes true for staffs. You got to have it. When you go with position, again, it's just, if you don't know each other, the buy-in's not there. It's not there. You don't buy in. If I don't know you, and it's the same thing when you talk about coaching young people too. If I don't know you, I can't get you where you want to go. When it goes to team, it's about the competition. The competition of it. And non-ball thing, like a game of dodgeball in the middle of camp, or a relay race. At the end, this one right here was the most awesome thing I've seen. What if the offensive line went and caught hitches? And then the wide receivers went and blocked dummies. And then the quarterbacks had to backpedal, and the safeties had to throw to the linemen. Let them throw the linemen, because they ain't going to catch it anyway. But, you see what I mean? I know, I got a lineman in the room. But you see what I mean? Now all of a sudden you pass the ownership across a group. It's big picture, right? And I'm talking about little dudes, because our game's under attack, and they're coming after the parents about our game. They're trying to scare you guys from one of the greatest games in the world, from one of the only teachers that builds men. And I'm not talking about a coach. I'm talking about that game. That game forces you to look yourself in the eye and make a decision. Do I really want to go hang out in this sun in pads right now in Florida? But I'll tell you this, it makes your son, it makes that kid make a decision about what he's trying to be. And it's one of the best teachers you can find. So like the non-ball things, okay? The other thing I'll say when it comes to that is, you know, have your staff at the end of a work day. At the end of a work day, it goes volumes for a kid to hear the offensive line coach talk about how well the linebackers played today. Or the linebacker coach talk about how good, because what you're doing is you're just reinforcing that you're all in. Does that make sense? When it comes to the team building aspect, Because without that part of it, when you talk about building the team, when the individual isn't bought in, it can't help the position, it can't help the unit, and then it goes with the team. So like little things, you coaches, as far as like just bring it up. Hey, look, you know, like as a coach, I think my fear of failure, like tell me no. Tell me no. Tell me I can't. Yeah, like, dude, hey coach, I heard this thing. Like, why don't we let these guys? All he's gonna say is no. You know how many times I've been told no in my life? A lot, right? But I don't care because I think it's gonna help and it has value. So those are the little things when it comes to team building that are gonna get your program where you want it to be, okay? When you talk about the other position groups at the end of the day, here's the other thing, and I do think this is true even at a younger level because kids today don't function without this, right? So I can't stand this. I can't stand it. I can't stand Twitter. I can't stand whatever all the crap is, the thing, the snapping that goes on, all that stupidity. But here's what you have to know about today's kid. These kids ain't changed. They've not. How do you get to them? They want to know why. They want to know now. They want to know how it helps. They want to know what it's going to do to make me better. I don't care if my 6-year-old can grab this thing and do more with it than I can. She can. What it's done with her is it makes these kids, they want to know how you're going to help me. How's it helping me? When's it going to help me? Because it's immediate. That's immediate. That answer comes quicker than I can say it. So that's where it's different. That's where the teaching of these kids. So like when it comes to team building, like that's how you're going to get kids bought into what you're trying to do to get your program going where you want it to go. And again, like I think about it like, yeah, and it's an easy out. Hey, Mo, you're dealing with 18 to 22-year-old guys. I'm dealing with Johnny who if he sees a butterfly, he may run off. You know what I mean? Which is fine. But at the end of the day, right, it's all attention span. That's why for a youth coach, to make something that is very, 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 very hard, and kids don't want to do it anymore. How do you find the energy and the fun? I don't know, man. Let's have a water balloon toss there and stretch. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But even for kids our age, it's a freezy pop, man. A donut. Coach Davis tells the story all the time about NFL guys who didn't get their picture on the wall. These are $5 million players. Of course, my picture's not on the wall, man. I led the team in TFL. I ain't got that. That matters. Every age, that matters, okay? So from a team building standpoint, you've got to do things together, and it doesn't always have to be ball, okay? It doesn't have to always be ball. So another thing Lo said that would probably be good to touch on is team practice, all right? Team practice for the coaches in the room, right? So practice, you got to be organized in practice, right? Like you got to think part whole. So when you come together and you guys are talking about what are we going to put on practice, how are we going to organize this practice to help our guys, okay? You got to work the things that fit you. We talk about it all the time. We just want to be the best us. I just want to be the best us we can be. And at the level you're coaching with these little guys, blocking and tackling. Blocking and tackling. You got to teach them. You got to teach them because that's the thing. Mamas and daddies don't want them to come. When you hold your Pee Wee tryout and you expected 150 to show up and 50 show up, they're scared, right? I mean, so you got to teach them the fundamental way to block and tackle. And that's the base of our game. You got to work the big picture, okay? So, like, that is it. Like, when you talk about part, whole, you got to teach them how to block. You got to teach them how to tackle. The other thing I'm going to say is when it comes to practice, especially in a little league setting, right? Like, you've got to incorporate energy. You got to keep their attention. But you don't need to be doing things that don't fit your offense or your defense. Does that make sense? Like, you got to fit your scheme. And some of the most successful little leagues that I've seen in my 16 years of doing this, right, they're the ones that tie it into where these kids are headed. They're running the same schemes, right? They're running the same schemes as where they're about to filter in. You know what I mean? So you got to do the things that fit you. Like if you're a wing T offense, why are you working on zone? Why is the O-line doing a zone period? There shouldn't be. We should be working. Again, it's filtering it down, and it's being organized and detailed enough, because here's the deal. Even if Johnny's chasing a butterfly, you've got him. You've got him in that environment for, what, an hour and a half maybe? Is that what practices run? 2 hours? You got him for 2 hours, so fit it to what you're doing. Fit it to what you're doing. Again, it's tough, you know what I mean? Because I know you guys, like, it's so much respect for you guys. You're working, then you're showing up, and you're coaching ball, and you're coming in, and you don't necessarily have times to meet, but it takes the organization and the detail with your staff to make sure that, hey guys, are we doing the things that we need to be doing to help these kids have success on the game? Okay? All right? And then you've always, in a practice scenario, once you do that, right, it's blocking and tackling. I talked about that, but you got to have a competitive, I mean, these kids, they want to compete. I mean, come on. It's hard. They got a helmet on, they got shoulder pads, they got pants. They know that the Xbox is sitting in their bedroom, and they know there's a sandwich somewhere, right? And it's a lot easier. The air conditioner's running. So you gotta build some sort of competition in to these practices, right? Do the things that fit your schemes, and then let them compete. Let them go compete, because at the end of the day, that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. Johnny wants to say, I beat Timmy at something, right? So you can build in, and you can make it competitive. We can have the fastest man rate, whatever it is. But you got to build some sort of competition in there, okay? But the technique and the base fundamentals have to happen daily. You know what I mean? Even for us, when we go into training camp, we teach the offense to tackle. We teach the defense to block. We teach everybody to recover a fumble. We teach everybody how to hold a football, because that's all fundamental parts of the game. Does that make sense? So that's where it goes back. Like, you shouldn't come out if you guys run, if you run, like, again, if you run the wing T, why are we doing a zone up drill? You shouldn't be, right? You should be working the fundamental in a half line. I don't want to get into all of that because I got other points that I want to touch on, but do the things that give the kids success, because remember, they're a right now, why, how. How, why is it helping, and when do I want to know? I want to know right now, because I can just pick the phone up and Google it. So, Coach, tell me now. Tell me right now, right? And even with our kids, my kids, it's the same way, all right? Don't get bored with the detail. You guys are coaching up, like blocking and tackling. So how do you make it fun? Think outside the box. Think outside the box. How are you going to make that fun? How are you going to make a kid hang on to that? Because the details are what are going to give you success, and it's going to help build them for this game, right? For this game moving forward, okay? So don't leave the field without the kids getting better and knowing your schemes, okay? And even when it comes to practice, all right? And I know, like I just said it, like, have a plan for what you're going to do. Like, if I'm a defensive coordinator, and like you gotta have some kind of idea what we're trying to get done at the end of the day. And I'm talking to myself, because we're getting ready to go to training camp. And look, you got to come off that field knowing that you help those young people be better. Be better at that today. But you can't walk on the field and say, well, what do you want to do today, boys? And I hope we're not in those situations, but only you can control that, right? As an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, position coach, head coach, that's where our game is different. That's where our game is different. You can't roll the ball out and play man-to-man. Can't do it. Can't do it. So you got to have some organization going into practice. Script the things you want to see. Script them. Write them on a piece of paper. I'll tell you what, I spent time with George O'Leary at UCF, and that's one thing I did learn. You better write it down. You better write it down so you remember. So script them. Maybe you've had a chance, and I know scouting's hard. I can't imagine scouting for Little League programs, right? Have an idea what they're going to look like. You don't need to know, like, you know, when we go into scouting, we talk about the people, we talk about the schemes, the base splits, this, that, that. At least know where they're going to be, so that the reps you're taking that day, because here's what I know. Repetition equals habit. Repetition equals habit. Repetition equals habit. The more you rep something, you will accidentally be better at it. If I force you to do this every day, you're going to, it's osmosis, man. I mean, it just happens, right? So have a plan when you hit the practice field, right? Script, card. I mean, you just got to think, what is the purpose? What am I trying to get done? Right? And I get it, man. I get it. We're coming from work. We're dealing with the stuff there, the stress. Maybe mama ain't happy at home, whatever. You come out there and you ain't ready to go. Those little dudes are going to look at you like, hey, why now? What? Tell me now. Why didn't it? Right? Be purposeful. Know that when you leave that day, you've at least put the thought you need to put into that day, and now you can move forward, okay? Safety. Team safety. So when you talk about safety in football, right, it goes back to at some point every day you got to block and tackle. Because that's the only way to learn the fundamental. And it can't be lip service to it. You got to do it, right? I mean, we do it every day. We do some form of blocking, some form of tackling, and we coach the crap out of it. But you got to teach the whole team, okay? And it's always about the details, all right? It's always about the details. Don't fall for the myth, right? Here's the other thing I'll say. You got to put competition in it. You don't have to take them to the ground. You can blow a quick whistle, and you can coach the fit. And that's what the kids want. Like, imagine if you could go 5 days a week to 5 games. You'd be pretty fired up as a little guy, right? You'd be pretty fired up. I know I would. Like, yo, we're going to play every day, man. We're going to play. We're going to have a team period that goes, because the only way to practice these things, like I said, it's hard. There's just so many other easy things to do. There's so many things that are easier. So when it comes to safety, you got to let them go. You got to let them go. Like, there's a myth with it that, well, if we block every day and if we thud up and we strike no, that's how they learn to do it. Coach what you see. Blow the quick whistle at the fit, and now let's go coach the fit. Hey, your eyes through the brow, your fists roll up, you got a good base. That's how you get these little guys to buy into it and to understand, right? But the myth that, hey, if we have guys hit, they're going to get hurt, they ain't going to be interested. That's why they're playing football, because they're making their mamas and daddies crazy at home, so they put them in pads and they throw them on you. Get this energy out of them, man. Let them use this the right way. True? I mean, that's what it is. I got a 6-year-old girl that needs to go be a middle linebacker. She does. She's probably going to be in the WWE. You know what I mean? Crazy. But the other thing that goes with that is that's how you build confidence. You build confidence by doing. How do you do something? You do it. How do you go do something? Well, let me tell you how to do it. Let me show you the fundamental. Let me show you what it's supposed to look like. Let me give you the details. Now go do. Hey, whoa, that wasn't right. Get back here. That's not what I asked. This is what we're doing. Ah, there it is. Do it again. Look at that. You did it again. Do it again. There it is. Look at that. Do it again. Do it again. All right, next guy. Let's go. Right? So that's how the thing works. Okay? And that's how you build the safety element in. You do it by doing. Don't think that doing is gonna let them. Encourage the fundamental things. Okay? It's not like the idea of the little league drills that I used to do. I don't know are the same. I don't. There's a time for competition. There's a time for those kind of things. But the old Smoky Mountain, East Tennessee, line up 5 yards from each other, laying on your back, get up and hit each other in the head. I don't know that that's the same. You know what I mean? There's a place for smart football things to do, like an angle tackle with your head across the bow and the fit. Those are the things. You know what I mean? Don't turn it into blow-up sessions. And then what are you encouraging? Like, we all love that's the reason you play, right? I'm talking about team safety now. You're playing man coverage. You got a one high safety. He takes one pedal and he runs and drives a slant or drives an in cut and absolutely annihilates the guy leading with his helmet. You got dudes on your staff that are going, what? Dude, it's going to get somebody hurt. That's good. So again, what do you emphasize? Look, we all like the bang plays. That's what makes football. But look at every level of football. Taking them away. So again, what are you emphasizing in practice? What are you emphasizing in practice? I'm not saying don't emphasize a good, clean, form fit hit. That's part of the game with feet running. The technique looks right. We're in there. That's awesome. Let's get jacked up. But the dude running cross field that's going to lead with his head or lead with his shoulder, and his deal is to get up so he can give you one of these and come. I'm all about the energy, man. 11 dudes play. Right? 11 dudes play. And I get it, but like what are we emphasizing? What are we emphasizing when things happen in practice? Right? And again, it's hard. This game's not easy. It's not. I tell I'm like, guys, man, you could go like work in corporate America, go with a little 9-to-5er. It'd be not like you don't got to put a pad on to do that. You see what I mean? But when it comes to team safety and those kind of things, like what are you emphasizing? Are you emphasizing a cheap play? Or are you emphasizing a good, fundamental, sound thing that happens on a football field? Are you emphasizing the things that we teach? Are you looking at the things we're doing and saying, you know what, that's exactly how I taught it in individual, and look what you did? Make sense? So when it goes to team safety, and look, dude, that is so hard because I love to see it too, man. Right? We all do. But there's a line, okay? And when it comes to team safety, it becomes on what are your, for as long as I played football, your shoulder pads and your feet do the talking, okay? And I do believe that from a team safety aspect, you can train toughness. You can teach your kids to be tough, doing the things within the system you teach to do the things to win football games. But there's a fine line with it, okay? And the example I have is the blow-up shot, you know what I mean? Or like, what are we emphasizing when it comes in from a team safety aspect? When it talks to game preparation, okay, so when you're talking about game prep, all right? So when you're prepping about a game, and again, I'm spoiled. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that because I can watch everything. I can know everything they've put on film. I don't know how much access you have as a Little League football coach to that. But at some point, and it's like I said earlier, when it goes into practice situations, like you're going to have to give them something. Like you want to be able to have scouted it out enough to know that, hey, these guys line up with a 5 down front, man. They cover the center, they cover the guards, and they got 2 stand-up guys in the back. They play with 1 linebacker in the box. Bro, you can't go into our game blind. You can't. So when it comes to game preparation, you have got to have at least gone and scouted and see, again, because we can't roll the ball out and at the end of the day just play man. And look at Johnny and say, hey, you got to beat 1-on-1, they scored. That ain't it, man. Like, you can't put it in blind because you have to be able to know what you're getting ready to see to have some kind of preparation for it. You know what I mean? If they play a certain coverage, if they play a certain front, if the linebackers are there, because at the end of the day, you want to be building towards giving your kids success. You know what I mean? And letting them have success as you go right there. So you got to scout them, okay? You want to at least know what the base looks are. Okay, again, this sounds crazy, but and if you got an hour on your lunch break in the day, card them up. Use your base formation and draw it on a card. Draw it on a card. It doesn't even got to be a card, man. Use a piece of notebook paper. Like I still, at my Sunday nights, as I game plan, start with, I call them 8 holes. It's kind of old school, 8 boxes. It starts at the top, whatever opponent we're playing. We'll open up with Indiana. I'll say Indiana looks. I'll draw the formations I like, and I draw where they are. Because the one thing is, all right, as a coach, right, you're not going to have all of the answers, right? You're not. You're not going to have all of the answers. But you need to be able to build confidence in those people. Those little dudes that are looking up at you. You got to be able to build, you got to make them know that you got their back. Because it's instant, it's right now, it's they need to know now. Yo, look, hey, here's the deal. 2 linebackers in the box, there's gonna be 2 defensive tackles covering those guards. This is what it's gonna look like. Let's ride. Let's get a rep of the inside zone. Let's get a rep of the outside zone. You see what I'm saying? But you can't go into it blind because here's the other thing I know. Okay? They'll see through you now. Even the little ones will see through you. They'll see through you. And then go back to what I said before. If they don't think you're helping them, man, they're going to turn the pads in. Or they're going to go play, I don't know what they'll do. But I know they'll see through you. You've been given something great. The great thing you've been given is the opportunity to work with these young people, to put your hands on that clay and to build the next group. that's going to be people that somebody said couldn't be where people stand. Yes, ma'am.
So with that, how does the coach build the confidence in one? Because my son, he's going to 10th grade, and he's just now playing football. He's pretty big. He's 16. You know, he's act up and all that stuff. But to me, as a parent, on the other end, the coaches, they don't really, make him feel confident to play in the game to get the experience.
So when it comes to the next part that I'm going to talk about is a little bit of like expectation and kind of like here's what I know. Here's what I know, and I say this. I got 3 daughters at home, right? And they've decided to be athletes. I've tried to talk them out of it, and I continue to talk them out of it every day. But the Lord's given them something that is awesome. They have tools. You control 3 things every day as an athlete. Me as a man. I control my attitude, I control my effort, and I control my enthusiasm. Those are the 3 things that I control no matter what, end of the day. I have control of these 3 things. When I wake up in the morning, my attitude towards my wife, my enthusiasm towards us, the effort I'm going to put in. You see what I'm saying? Because it's a 2-way street. I'm talking to these coaches right now. I'm talking to coaches right now, and I'm saying, guys, don't walk out there and put something so great in jeopardy. Don't walk out there and void that trust. Even with a 6-year-old, with a 7-year-old, with an 8-year-old. Those are the dudes that got to have it. You guys probably know better than me, but if Steve Brewer didn't step in and say, hey, Mo, this is how we do things, I ain't never had a man say anything like that to me the time I met him. So what if he then put me in a position where he said the 3 technique's going to be here, I go to block down, ain't no 3 technique. You think it don't matter? You think it don't matter? Man, he no different than that other dude. He no different than that other dude that walked out on me. You see what I'm saying? They're little, right? Don't put yourself in that position. Put yourself in a position where they build, and then all of a sudden you want to see all the things come together for you and go the right way. It's that trust. But that's a 2-way street, to answer your question a little bit, between the coaches and the players. And we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in, like, I'm going to go to the next bullet point. Okay? You got me? And then you raise your hand again and throw something at me if I don't get you. Okay? So know the base looks. Get a card of them. Get a picture. Okay? Game time. Game time. And there ain't no worse feeling than you're in a game and it ain't going the way you want it to go. And you're sitting here on a knee, and you got the pen, and you got, like for me, with the offensive line, you got 5 dudes and the tight ends and the running backs all of them looking at you like that. What you got, big man? What you got? What you got for me? You see what I mean? So the idea that, and again, when I talk to game planning, game preparation, what are we doing during the game? What are we doing during the game? Who's looking at this? Who's seeing that? Who can tell me what the front was? Because maybe I'm on the sideline and I'm far away from it and I can't really see. Was that a 3 technique or was that a 1? Is that guy on the... Who's seeing it and who's communicating it? And then this is the other thing that comes with trust from the kids, right? What did you have in front of you? What did it look like? Can you, if I've got a pen, can you tell me how to draw it? Okay, now, with my guys, we talk a lot about ego and the lack thereof that has to exist to function with me and with us as a unit. If you get your butt kicked, if he just wrecks you, say it. Say, Coach, I got rolled. You know how hard that is? Coach, I lost my block. He came free. The play's good. We can still run that play. I will get it done. Right? Because if I don't know that, I'm going to say to somebody, don't call that no more. Man, we can't be calling that. This dude's getting kicked, right? No, Coach, I just slipped off and missed a block. So the communication within the game of what is happening, who's seeing the game. Again, it goes back to when I talked about practice habits and fundamentals. You don't need a lot of plays, especially with the limited amount of time that you guys have with these kids, right? Because what do you practice? 2 days a week for 2 hours? You'll get 3. Okay, you'll get 3 days a week for 2 hours. That's 6 hours of game prep, then we rolling the ball out. You don't need a lot of plays. You don't. You don't need a lot of plays, but the ones you have, you better be able to get them going, and you better be able to get them going to the fronts that you're going to see. Like, for me, I talk about there are really only about 5 ways in football that defenses can line up on you, right? Now, really, and again, I try to look at the things we do versus those. I want, at the end of the day, for us to do us better. I want it to always be about us. But in the game, when something don't go right, okay, we got to be able to sort it out, and you got to be able to see it there, okay? Execute the ones you have. Reps equals confidence. We talked about that earlier, okay? All right. And then you're only as good as your base at the end of the day. And I would talk about 3 points here. Just be a better you. Be a better you, right? And that starts with the time our feet hit the grass. When our feet hit the grass for practice, I want you to be a better you at the end of that practice than you were at the end of the day. And that's the biggest point in all of it as we go to preparing for games, okay? See the looks as a coach. See the looks. Make sure you don't walk into this thing blind. There's going to be things that happen in a game that you haven't seen, right? Be able to adjust them. You're only as good as your base. Remember that. You're only as good as your base. You're only as good as your base. And honest and open communication and feedback, okay? And then it's you versus you, okay? We try to talk more about us being the best version of ourselves we can be. I cannot stand player-to-player comparisons. What happens in my game a lot, and I don't know if it happens for you guys at the youth level, is Timmy don't get a play. Well, why didn't Timmy get a play? Timmy's going to come to you and he's going to say, Coach, you ain't playing me, man. Well, Timmy, let's talk about practice. Let's talk about your attitude. Let's talk about your effort. Let's talk about your enthusiasm. Let's talk about the fact that the same look that Johnny had, who I had to play, he executed that rep 100% of the time. You didn't, right? It's you versus you, okay? And we talk about being the best version of yourself. Hey, Timmy, I don't want you to be Johnny. I want you to be the best version of Timmy you can be. And if there's something we can do that your version fits, we'll get that done. We'll get that done. But the bottom line is only 11 get to play. Only 11 get to play at a time. And I know in youth sports where it's come here, you do your best to try to get everybody in and you rotate in. I get all of that. But you got to be the best version of yourself. And what helps me is I try to establish that from jump. I try to establish, like I don't want you to walk in here and say, hey, Mo, I want to, like, why is John getting the reps and I'm not? Hey, bro, this ain't about John. Ain't nothing about this about John. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about the fact you're 5 minutes late for everything I'm doing. Let's talk about the fact that you can't find your way to study hall. Right? My game's different. Johnny's chasing a butterfly because he's got ADD. I get it. Hey, Johnny, get back in the tackling line. Right? I've lived it. I have kids at home. I get it. Right? But I don't get it when they're wearing pads and all that because I do get to work with an older group of guys. But at the end of the day, I still have my crew. You go into NFL meeting rooms, they still have guys. And all of a sudden, man, you're sitting in an hour-long meeting, and all of a sudden you start. They just go. So how do you manage it, right? You know what I mean? But the comparison of a player versus, never let that happen, coaches. Never let that happen. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. You need to establish an environment where, no, we're not comparing him to him. We're comparing you to you. We're going to compare you to you. Right? And then we're both going to be able to look ourselves in the mirror and we're going to know that we did right by us. It isn't about individual comparisons. Why does this guy get this? Hey, you know what? Life ain't fair. Life ain't fair. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't get the same things Johnny did. Hey, you know what? I'm going to keep my head down. I'm going to go to work and I'm going to be the best version of myself I can be each and every day. Okay? So that's kind of game prep. That's team safety, a little bit about practice, and some things about team building. Is there anything I can tie in there? Is there any question? Because I know these guys are going to talk schemes with you later and get into that. But I'll give my email and whatever. I'll help any way I can when it comes to drills and those kind of things. You guys are our future. You are the future of our game at every level. Understand that, okay? And then one last, or one other point here. That he asked me to talk about was expectation. Expectation, right? And expectation on a lot of different levels is kind of what he asked me to speak on, right? He had actually said, what are the expectations of us looking at a high school program? But it would still be like, what are the expectations of a high school coach looking at you coming from a peewee program? You know what I mean? And like there's this mystery out there, and I think you got a seminar on it a little later called recruiting, right? The magical recruiting. Hey, look, when y'all figure it out, holler at me. I don't know. I'm telling you, every year it's a little different. But anyway, so when we talk about expectation, okay? When we talk about expectation, I talk about these three things, guys, and I'm not one of these, like it's funny because Coach texted me and he goes, hey, are you gonna do a PowerPoint? And all that. I said, bro, I don't PowerPoint. No, I try to talk, right? And that means that you there are three things you control, and I talked about it a little bit, okay? Expectation, your attitude, your effort, and your enthusiasm. How are you going to get fired up when it's 105 degrees? You got to put the pads on and go grind.
You don't. You just sit in the car.
How you going to do it? Do you really want it? Go be a painter. Go write a novel. Go, I don't know. At my high school, a lot of guys worked at the amusement parks because I'm from near Pigeon Forge, and you could make $5.25 an hour and wear a tight shirt and maybe get a date. And it was a lot easier than going and grinding. So, but it's your attitude, your effort, and your enthusiasm. Your attitude towards what you're doing. Man, I can't stand these guys. The teeth sucking. Man, coach, man. Man, what I do to you besides give you opportunity? What I do to you besides let you on this team? That's all I did to you. I just gave you an opportunity to be better. So how you handle yourself, right? How you handle yourself. Okay, that's your attitude. What are you going to do with the opportunity you've been given? Because here's what I know, man. Here's what I know. Men, women, everybody. Like, I ain't real smart. But I know this. If I just grind, good stuff happens. You see what I mean? If I just grind, good things happen. If I just have a great attitude, if I just give great effort, man, the running back broke it over there, I'm the left tackle. Or I'm the left tackle, here comes the patrol, the safety on the other side of it. I will applaud. Let's go. That's what I look for. You want to figure out if I'm going to recruit you or not? You really want to figure out if I'm going to recruit you to play O-line for me or not? Yeah. I'm going to turn on the third quarter, and I'm going to watch you play. Then I'm going to watch the fourth quarter. And then I'm going to see what it looks like. I'm going to see if I can see attitude, effort, enthusiasm. What do you look like when you come on the sideline? What's your body language? You don't think body language matters? What if I'd have started this presentation with no energy? I said, hey guys, Lo asked me to do this. Really didn't know you. What is that? Be a duck? Come up here and be a man. See what I'm saying? Listen. You people in this room are building the future of the greatest game out there, in my opinion. Teach these kids to roll their chest out, walk like this, get your head up, look somebody in the eye, speak when spoken to, and be a man. Have a great attitude. Have great enthusiasm about what you're doing. Right? And give effort. Give effort. Effort's free. You can give every bit of it you have. You can give it all. Those are three things. When you talk about expectation, I eliminate more guys when it comes to those three things than anything. Now, the overriding rule with all of this when you get into it is, and again, this carries over because I firmly believe this, right? I talked about three things: attitude, effort, enthusiasm. There are three parts of a young man's life. There are three parts. There are three things, three deals, right? Our academics, okay? Our academics. Like, we got to be on point there. We got to be handling those books. Okay? Those three words I gave you, attitude, effort, enthusiasm. Hey, look, I say this to kids all the time. I'm like, bro, do you understand when you walk into math that that's their practice? You walk into math class and that teacher is like I am when you come into these meetings. He's on fire. He's ready to go because it's math, man. Math! Woo! How you get that going? Or how you learn to play the game. How do you learn attitude, effort, enthusiasm in every area? The second area, right? We all know it. It's athletics, right? And that's the easy part. You go in the weight room, you get to move weights, your body changes, you look different, you get to go run down the field, carry the ball, whatever that. All that's easy, right? It's easy to have great attitude, great effort, great enthusiasm for those things. But then there's this other area. There's this other area that what happens when your pee-wee coaches aren't around, your high school coaches aren't around, your mom and dad aren't around. There's that area of kind of like, I say, what happens from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And there's that part of young people's lives. There's the whatever you choose to fill it with. Whatever you choose to fill it with. Just understand this. Attitude, effort, enthusiasm, and repetition equals habit. Repetition equals habit. Whatever you feed the mind is so powerful. It's what I love. Like, I can visualize a great play. Like in any sport. Because I got a daughter that plays volleyball, right? And I say to her all the time, I say, hey, why don't you, like, it's between games, whatever, visualize that set, that swing, how it's supposed to feel, the perfect one you hit. Just visualize it. Because here's what your mind doesn't know. And it's the same thing with football. When you come out of that hook, when you come out of that hitch route and you shoot those hands and you visualize seeing the skinny catching the fat, you visualize it to the top, the mind you just took a rep. The mind doesn't know your body didn't do it. The mind knows you repped it. From 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., what are you feeding yourself? What are you feeding yourself? Right? And that goes into this too with expectation. And again, I get it. Everybody's home's different. I am a walking, talking, living, breathing example. Okay, but what are you going to feed it? What are you going to feed it? Attitude, effort, enthusiasm. The next point I would be here, right, is what working to, or are you willing to? Are you willing to? Are you willing to? The will. Do you have the will to learn? Do you have the will to work? And do you have the will to try things you're not used to? There's going to be something new. But are you willing to work, to grind? Just put your head down and go. Are you willing to learn new things, new concepts, new schemes, new classes? And are you willing to try new things? Hey man, that ain't how we did it. Oh, okay. Well, this is how we do it. I don't need to hear how you. That's awesome. It was probably great for you, but look, this is right here where our feet are. This is how we doing it, right? And when you're here in these colors, and I'm talking to you, it's how we ride it. Okay? So, are you willing to? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to work? And are you willing to try new things that you're not comfortable with? Right? Those are all expectations coming out. Eliminate the way you used to do it. Man, that's how we always did it, Coach. It's got to be eliminated. It's got to be eliminated. Man, but that's what no, this is how we do it. Fear of failure probably goes to kind of what you asked me earlier. How do you eliminate the fear of failure? How do you eliminate the fear of failure? No. Bro, everything we do is out there, on every level. You know how many times I've been fired? Do you know how much I care? I'm good at what I do because I believe that. I've trained that way. I've built that. This thing's been built for bigger. Right? Fear of failure. How do you eliminate it? You teach them the way. You rep it, you rep it, you rep it. Hey man, that one didn't go. Hey, come on back, let's get it again. Let's get it again, because they do. The little ones, they do. That's why they have to trust you. That's why those other things I talked about are so important. Man, be on time for practice. Man, as a coach, be on time for practice, because that dude's looking at you, man, and it all goes to trust. It all goes to trust. And when he trusts you, he'll do anything he can for you not to fail you. And that's where the fear of failure will be eliminated. That's where it'll be eliminated. As crazy as this sounds, right? Going back to like, how do you build those things? How do you get rid? You may have seen it. I do Indy with them sometimes because I'm crazy. I'm too old. I need to stop. I'm hurting. But bro, I'm in. I'm all in. Do conditioning with them. Oh no! Did I say that out loud? Run 2 half-gassers with them. Run 2 half-gassers with them. Let them know you're there. That's how it's relational. That's how you eliminate fear of failure. The fear of failure's got to go. Look, you cannot be afraid to fail, because here's the deal, right? In Little League, we practice 3 days a week. We go play, right? Somebody paying money to come watch you play, cuz your resume's right there. Your resume is right there. I don't know that a 6-year-old needs to know that yet, but they learn by the time they get to high school, right? See what I mean? Because listen, man, it's all out there. You can't be afraid to fail and go put your best effort forward. Nah, fear of failure's got to go. Highly competitive. Highly competitive. Expectation, highly competitive. Highly competitive people. Are you okay with just kind of going through the motions? Are you gonna just outcompete someone? Are you a highly motivated, highly competitive person? You see what I'm saying? Highly motivated, highly competitive person. Those are the things we look for. Everyone's good. Everyone's good at our level. Everyone's good. So when you talk about expectation and what you're looking for there, highly competitive people, highly competitive environment. And understand this about football, okay? 2 of my favorite words are endurance and durability. Endurance and durability. Are you durable? Can you make it through the grind? Can you endure the grind? Endurance and durability. I'm talking to coaches, man. I ain't talking about these kids. I'm talking about game planning in July, because camp starts in August. I'm talking about spring ball. Mama ain't happy. Mama wondering where you are. Endurance and durability. Endurance and durability as a coach. Every time you take that rep, you put those kids through Indy, and they don't do it right, do you have the endurance and durability to not grab them and to pull them back in and say, okay, come on. Good. Let's do it one more time, brother. Let's do it one more time. Let's do it one more time and let's get it right. Endurance and durability in the game of football. When you ask me for characteristics that we look for, endurance and durability. Okay? Nothing is easy. Nothing is easy, and nothing will be given to you. The sooner you can figure out that nobody really cares, the better off you'll be. Oh, your feelings hurt? Okay. Well, so are mine. We got to get this zone blocked here. So let's kind of line this bad boy back up, and let's figure out how to go here. Okay? Get out your feelings and let's ride. You know what I mean? So there's this ego, and I think it gets taught to males at a very, very early age. So when I establish the criteria for our room, I don't have a lot of rules. I'm not a rule guy. I don't need to make pretty pictures and put them on the wall. I just need you to be able to look me in the eye, me look you in the eye, and understand human communication. We have the do right rule. That's it. Do right. If your feet stop between any decision you make, don't do it. Hey man, the fellas are going this way. Don't do it. Your feet stop. They stop. That means you're thinking. That means you're thinking. If you're thinking, it's not reactive. It's not a repetition. Does that make sense? If your feet stop, don't do it. Don't do it. Man, better go on. I guarantee you I'm going to get a phone call. I guarantee it. Okay, so again, Characteristics we look for: endurance, durability. Nothing's easier given to you. Hard, so's life. Okay? And again, this is one here, like you're allowed to have a bad play. We're all going to have a bad play. Everybody's going to have a bad play, and this goes back to kind of what you asked me. Everybody's going to have a bad play. You can't have a bad day. You know what a bad day in the NFL do? You'll be rolling right on out the door. You want to know how I know? But you see right here where it says, what does it say right there? 2,000. You know why that thing don't go any longer? Because I figured out what a degree means. They were like, hey, look, big fella. You know what I mean? So that's reality. Like everything you're instilling into these little guys, you're building them for the future. Okay? And I can't tell you enough how humble and how grateful I am to get to speak to you. And just know the importance of it. And I hope that something I've said will you grab onto, and you'll be able to take it with you as far as getting these guys ready to go. Okay, the future's in your hands, fellas. The future's in your hands. The future of our game. Okay, all right. Humbled and blessed. Thank you so much.
All right, so what we're going to do now, thank you, bro. Appreciate you. We'll take a couple minute bathroom break. There's bathrooms to the left.